reaction, and I'm sure they're as shattered and as sorry and sad as I am at this terrible news. Royal commentator Afia Hagan, talkTV's Kevin O'Sullivan, and our international editor Isabel Oakeshott. I'll start with you, Afia. I mean, this is absolutely devastating news, and I don't believe there's a single person in the country who can hear this from a 42-year-old mother of three without feeling an absolute, I don't know, welter of emotions, most particularly so sorry and so sad for them, and so absolutely hopeful that all will be the outcome that everybody wants and that she will recover and to go on to live a long and happy life with her husband and children. But this has come as a great shock to all of us, hasn't it?
To all of us. And now I think when we look back at the past few weeks and the absolute hysteria, and it can only be described as hysteria, that has been going on, this is very, very sobering. And it's gut-wrenching. As you said, a 42-year-old mother of three having cancer, anyone having cancer is terrible. But it is just, it's shocking. And actually when, you know, watching that statement and reading her statement, it's very shocking. And you're absolutely right that we just hope that she recovers and she feels better.
Absolutely.
You know?
I mean, I'm going to bring Kevin into this. My reaction to what she said and the way she said it is, what an incredibly dignified, what a very brave and courageous way of addressing it, particularly when she says at the end, you know, and my heart goes out to everybody else with cancer and all the families dealing with the suffering of loved ones with cancer. The way that she doesn't make it all about herself at all, the very opposite, and talks about her children and talks about the support that she's had, and really does seem to be putting the best possible face on what must have been to them the worst possible news.
Yeah, it was an astonishing statement from the Princess. And, you know, I've been one of the people who's been calling for more transparency. We've had a kind of semi-transparency both from King Charles and Princess Kate, and not her fault, of course, but from Kensington Palace. There can be no more talk of that. I have never seen anything more transparent than that. You talk of the details in that statement. The thing that brings a lump to your throat is how difficult it was to explain what's wrong with Kate to George, Charlotte and Louis in an appropriate way, talking about the love of William helping her through. And as you say, very, very kindly and altruistically talking about other people who are suffering the same as her. So, you know, I can't pretend, I don't think any of us can pretend that we haven't, in a way, sort of taken part in this firestorm of gossip and rumour. You couldn't avoid it, but I hope some people around the world, particularly in America and Europe and in this country, are now feeling pretty bad about themselves.
I must say I've been utterly disgusted by it the entire time, and I have said so. I've said it repeatedly. I thought it was intrusive, I thought it was rude, I thought it was nonsensical, I thought she was exactly where she said she was, which was in the bosom of her family at Adelaide Cottage with her husband and her children, and I thought that any other speculation was utterly insane.
Please,
and
no
inane,
more
and
of it.
Absolutely indefensible, really appalling, but this is the real thing. And Isabel, you know, I have always thought that Carol Middleton has done the most exemplary job with Kate. She is so impeccably behaved always. That's why people always say she hasn't put a foot wrong, because she hasn't. And in this, particularly in this statement, my God, you can see she's a real princess.
She is, and this will go around the world at lightning speed. You know, we talked about the rumour mill, which has been absolutely astonishing to observe, particularly in America, where they've been obsessed with this story to the extent that they're sort of going up to any British person and kind of expecting the British traveller and tourist to be able to have some exclusive insight into what is going on. There's also been enormous criticism over the last 10 days of the royal household and how they've managed, or rather mismanaged, things, obviously with particular reference to the disaster over the photo. I think with this statement, looking at, you know, the safety of the royal family, because it is no exaggeration to say that there have been articles and commentary and speculation and criticism which has almost gone to the point of saying the royal family is in peril. I think with this perfectly pitched statement, the royal household in Kensington Palace has put it right back on track.
Yeah.
And it has put paid to those rumours, I hope, about her marriage, about their marriage, because she says very specifically in there what an enormous support it has been having William by her side. So I think this now becomes a whole different ballgame. I think there should be no expectation whatsoever as to when she's coming back, how she's coming back, all this nonsense about preparing for a soft return. I mean, it does tell you how much is absolutely made up in the press.
Of course.
And, you know, obviously not in this fine building,
No, but of course.
but in gossip columns and so on. So much of it's just utter tripe.
For God's sake, let's everyone leave her alone.
Absolutely,
now.
because
Really
I think
bad.
that, you know, the thing that we see there is she's a human being. She's
She's
a
a
young
mom,
woman.
yeah.
She's a mother. She's been utterly beleaguered, not just with the knowledge of her own illness, not just with having to embark on chemotherapy, which everybody who's been through it knows is a real ordeal and demands every single fibre of resilience, both physical and mental, just to get through, because it can be so debilitating. With 3 children to whom she wants to put the best possible face and the best possible optimistic portrayal of her character, while feeling very unwell and recovering from an abdominal operation. I mean, who on earth would envy her all of those burdens, and then add to it that crushing pressure from the entire outside world, almost converging upon her daily with criticism and speculation. I mean, it's been exceedingly cruel and unforgivable, I think, all of it. But this suddenly you see, this is a person, just a person, trying to get better. And that's all we wish her to do. But you suddenly see, I think, as she sits on that bench, putting on such a brave face, her fragility. I mean, she's very thin, she's very frail, she's trying her very best, and it's very, very difficult. And I really think it becomes us all to help her in any possible way any of us can, which is really by you know, being supportive and simply wishing her well. Let's talk now on the telephone to talkTV's Royal Editor Sarah Hewson, who is making her way to London to join us even as we speak. And Sarah, I'm sure that you are utterly crushed by this news, as we all are.
Yes, it's an extremely moving and humbling statement, isn't it, from the Princess of Wales, explaining in her own words exactly what has been going on for her and for the whole family over the past couple of months. And she says how incredibly difficult it has been. I've also got a little bit more information about the timing of this announcement and why they've chosen to make it now, which sums up what we've been saying for some time, that this is all about protecting their family unit and protecting the 3 young children, because I understand they wanted to tell the 3 children at the right time, allow the children to be able to understand and process that news before it became public knowledge. The children have today broken up from schools. They're away from schools and the focus of attention, I suppose, for the Easter holidays now, and they then felt it was the right time to share updates. So always throughout this, it has been about the family and putting the children first.
Sarah, thank you, and we'll see you when you get here. So the breaking news since we started this programme and since we heard from the Princess of Wales is that Kate was diagnosed on the day that William pulled out of the King of Greece's memorial.
Right.
And that is the answer to the question that everybody was asking of here, which is why would he do so at the very last minute when he was already in the order of service and had committed to doing it, and the King of Greece's godfather, very, very close relationship with the whole family, and people were, you know, befuddled and incredulous. They couldn't work out how he could have done such a thing or why. And now we know the very sad reason for it. He wouldn't have done it if it hadn't been something exceedingly serious.
Something very serious, something huge. And we said that at the time, you know, you and I had conversations that it had to be something serious for him to pull out such a momentous occasion. And it actually all makes complete sense now. And, you know, people were saying, we did think, you know, is it something to do with the Princess of Wales? And at the time, Kensington Palace said the Princess of Wales is still recovering at home. And so it does make sense that he would pull out of that huge event that he was supposed to be at. And I think, you know, talking about that video message that we've just seen seen her in, I think it really humanizes the story now. I think, you know, when we were kind of in this hysteria of talking about all the things that are being said online and written and all the rest of it, because we hadn't actually seen her and she wasn't talking directly to us, people could go off on their tangents. But now we've seen her, it really humanizes her and humanizes the story and you think to yourself, actually, at the heart of this, and I've said this, at the heart of this, you have someone who's recovering from abdominal surgery. Now we know someone who's going through chemotherapy and cancer treatment, and me who's been there. I've been there and I know what it's like. I know how hard it is, how incredibly difficult it is. And actually to have people talking about you whilst going through that, horrible.
And Kevin, you know, we know that one of the absolute sort of sacrosanct details about life in the royal family is they absolutely adhere to duty, and they really do punctiliously do whatever it says they're going to do in their schedule of engagements. They do not pull out at the last minute. That's why this was such a shocking and extraordinary thing. How could Prince William not be there? But we also know that since her diagnosis, he's been working and he's been seen all over the country. In fact, yesterday at an early years centre, and he said, "I only wish my wife were here. This would be Kate's thing. This is what she's so concerned about." So he's continued to do his duty throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, you were way ahead of me. I was going to say that we should pause to pay tribute to Prince William, who's been grinning and smiling and shaking hands and being his classic affable self with the public, fulfilling all of his duties. In fact, fulfilling a lot more duties than he'd expected, because Kate hasn't been around. Of course, King Charles hasn't been around. So here's to William. And let's also stress that the news here, we hope, is good. Preventative chemotherapy, there's a tone of optimism in this message. And of course, in this day and age, there was a time cancer was very bad news. Loads and loads of people recover, and it looks to me as if she's talking about coming back to the duty. So this family are going through a traumatic time now. Leave them alone. Feel bad about what we've all, not all of us, but everybody, that, you know, when he pulled out of King Constantine's memorial service with 28 minutes to spare, everybody said, oh, there's obviously something really bad in the marriage. And that was what emerged earlier. We covered this story earlier. The word was in the air. There was there were reports, rumours that they were going to make a statement. And part of the reason that this couple were going to make a statement was the thing they've been absolutely shocked by is not so much the bizarre conspiracy theories about her being dead and nonsense like that, but the speculation about their marriage. And that's something else that everybody should feel bad about. And now that we know exactly why he did pull out of that memorial service, there are a lot of people around who should hang their heads in shame.
Absolutely. I'm going to read you now a statement from the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, who says, "My thoughts are with the Princess of Wales, Prince of Wales, the royal family, and in particular her 3 children at this difficult time. The Princess of Wales has the love and support of the whole country as she continues her recovery. She has shown tremendous bravery with her statement today. In recent weeks, she has been subjected to intense scrutiny and has been unfairly treated by certain sections of the media around the world and on social media. When it comes to matters of health, like everyone else, she must be afforded the privacy to focus on her treatment and be with her loving family." And the Prime Minister continues, "I know I speak for the whole country in wishing her a full and speedy recovery and look forward to seeing her back in action